911. What's the address of the emergency?
The I guess the officers probably need to respond non-emergency, but it is a pretty serious issue. I would like to speak to the officer in person, but what we have found is we've actually discovered 2 dead bodies.
Okay, give me one moment. What's the address as to where this is?
At the residence?
Yeah, what's the address as to where you found the bodies?
There's not an address. It's kind of, there's no house where we found the bodies.
Okay, is there a cross street or anything?
Yes, it's at the end of Buckhorn and Yarborough Road.
Okay, give me one moment. And what's the telephone number you're calling me from?
The telephone number is my cell phone number.
And what is it?
Let me see. 14. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
And where exactly near this location did you find them?
The what?
Exactly where are the bodies?
There's a power. There's an access to like where the power company cut a road in,
Mhm.
and they're just laying around on the side of the road.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and notify an officer and have them to come out and speak with you in reference to this.
Is there any need for me to meet the officer there to show them where this is, or do you think they can find it, or?
If you could just remain on scene so they can know where to locate it.
All right. We'll go back to the scene because we came home. We were on a 4-wheeler,
Mhm.
and we were actually putting out deer corn, and we discovered them.
Okay.
And so we actually came home, and I let my dad know what was going on, and he told me what to do.
Okay.
So we'll actually go drive back there, and we'll meet the police officers and show them where they are.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You are.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. You guys, can you believe it? It's been 14 months since Lyric Woods and Devin Clark was brutally murdered. Man, that story right there really touched my heart. And I must say, this story is actually what got me into the YouTube algorithm. I kid you not. This video with them, I had over 116,000 views. I was new starting out on YouTube. It only took me 8 days to be monetized, you guys. I kid you not. Go back and check out my page. Go back. Your girl was monetized just off of the story within 8 days. So, of course, I really became passionate about it because, as you research stories, you find out things and you learn about the individuals affected and you kind of get some sort of attachment. And that's what happened for me. And I always promised that I would stay up with the case and keep up with the case because I was just pissed off about what happened to these kids. So there hasn't been a lot of different details coming out. I really think that they're trying to keep things hush-hush until Issiah goes to trial. But there are a few different little things that have come out, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's a quick little recap. For those of you who are not familiar with the case, I recommend that you go back and you watch my other videos and catch up and then come back to this one. For everyone else who's up to par, let's get into it. So Lyric was 14 and Devin was 18. They were 2 teens from North Carolina. The teens were discovered deceased on a ATV trail. There were 2 hunters hunting when they stumbled across the scene. The phone call that I played in the beginning of the video is that phone call from one of those people. Now, initially, when the bodies were discovered, everyone thought it was racially profiled because of Lyric being a white female and Devin being a black male. I honestly have to say that I was one of those people, but we were wrong, and I could say that. Initially, that's what I thought, but that wasn't the case. Now, the actual circumstances on how those three kids ended up being together is still not like etched out in stone, but I have a theory because they said that Ross, which Issiah Ross is the 17-year-old that was allegedly the killer of these two kids. Issiah and Devin were friends. They went to the same school. Lyric was 14 and she went to another school. Now, they said that Issiah did not know Lyric. So I believe that Issiah and Devin, they were hanging out. Sports person, he was real active in sports. Lyric was too, and that's probably how those two met. As I said before, they said Issiah and Lyric were not familiar, so I believe that Devin and Issiah were hanging out and they decided to go pick up Lyric. Now, they also said that the weapon that was used to get rid of the teens was a weapon that belonged to Devin's father. Now, my theory for that is Devin always had a lot of friends over. That's what his dad said. Either he had his friends over or he would be over at his friends. It was one or the other. So I believe that Issiah probably seen Devin's dad's gun and took it without Devin knowing. So Devin and Issiah hanging out and they decide to go get Lyric. I believe that when Issiah seen Lyric, he probably was attracted to Lyric. And I believe that he probably made some advances toward her. I believe that she declined because she really wasn't feeling him. I think she really had her eyes on Devin. And I think that the rejection from Lyric probably pushed Issiah over the edge. Now, here's my theory. Now, at first, everyone was like, oh, they must have been murdered inside of the vehicle that Issiah was in. And that's not the case. Lyric and Devin were shot from behind, execution style. They were in the vehicle with Issiah. I believe after Lyric shot down, Issiah's advances, he probably said something disrespectful. He might have cursed her, hit her. It could have been something like that. And I believe that Devin, being the type of person that he was, a stand-up guy, and he was already Lyric's friend, I believe that he, had words with Issiah. I believe at that time, that's when Issiah pulls out the weapon. And that's when Lyric and Devin leap out the vehicle and they take off in this field. According to the DA, Devin and Lyric were shot as they ran away from the vehicle. The grouping of the shots indicate that the shots traveled some distance. So basically, those kids were shot execution style. There was not a struggle over a gun or anything. Those kids were running for their lives. Now, according to the autopsy report, Lyric was shot at least 4 times, of which she was shot twice in the back, once in the arm, and once in the neck from close range. Devin was shot at least 5 times, including 3 times in the back, once in the foot, once in the bottom of the heel, and one in the back of the head, close range. So these kids were running, and he probably was still in the car, and he started shooting at them. He got out the car, still shooting at them. He probably hit them, but they were still able to run until they collapsed. Once they collapsed, he shot Lyric at close range in the neck, and he shot Devin close range in the back of the head. And to me, I believe he stood over them. After they fell, after they collapsed from the other bullets, he shot them execution style. That's not premeditated. I don't think that's premeditated. So I'm glad that he is being charged with first-degree murder. I'm happy about that. Now, initially, when this incident took place, everyone was like, oh, it must have been a group of people, because how can, one person overpower two people? Well, that's easy. Now that we know that Issiah had a gun, I mean, Devin was a pretty fit dude, but he can't beat a gun, So I believe that he had that gun and he was hurt. And so he went to busing. Now, he didn't have anyone with him, as we thought. It was just him and him alone. But immediately after the shooting, he left and he went back to his hometown in Delaware. Now, Ross was apprehended by the FBI Violent Crime Task on October 5th at Leander Lake Apartment in Dover, Delaware, where his family members lived. 2 women were also arrested at the apartment complex for hindering prosecution. The names were Issiah Ross from Middletown, Delaware, and Mackenzie Mitchell from Dover. They were taken into custody. They weren't there at the crime, but they facilitated in getting him out of North Carolina, and they hid him in Delaware. And I think that's good that they hold them accountable as well, because they knew what he did, but they still hid him. He was a fugitive, so they get what they get. Now, initially, when Ross was apprehended, he was 17, so he was held as a juvenile. But in December of that same year, he made 18, and he was transferred over to the adult division. Now, the true motive is still unknown, but I'm telling you, I really think that's what happened. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, and I could be wrong, but let me know what you guys think. That's my opinion. Tell me what you think.
Murdered and left on a dirt road in Orange County were shot multiple times. And today in court, prosecutors say they were shot as they were running away. That's among the new information revealed in a case we have been following for months. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. The bodies of 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark were found back in September. Today, the teenager accused of killing them, Issiah Ross, was in court for his most significant hearing yet.
WRAL's Sarah Kruger was in the courtroom today. She's live now with what else we learned. Sarah?
Deborah, there were so many new details revealed in court. The prosecutor described these crimes as heinous. The judge took the most significant step that he could, giving the suspect no bond. Dozens of family members of Lyric Woods and Devin Clark filled the courtroom, at times crying and shaking as they heard the details of how their children were murdered.
Devin and Lyric were shot in the back while they were running away from this vehicle. They both had shots at close range. They were executed.
Prosecutor Anna Orr told the court a preliminary autopsy shows Woods was shot at least 4 times, Clark at least 5. She says the gun used in the crimes belonged to Clark's father. She says after the murders, the suspect, Issiah Ross, only 17 at the time, told a friend what he did. That friend then came to investigators with the story, saying Ross picked up Clark in the middle of the night, then they picked up Woods.
Devin did bring a gun with him, that Devin was, quote, beaming him with the gun, and that they began to struggle over the gun while sitting in a car, that the gun, quote, went off in the vehicle, that he was able to overtake the gun from Devin, and that he shot Devin still while sitting in the vehicle. He told this witness that Lyric was in the back seat, that she was screaming, and that he shot her.
The state says its evidence includes blood splatter from the car and cell phone location data. No motive was revealed in court. Ross's attorney, Jonathan Trapp, says the state doesn't have much to go on other than one witness whose credibility he questions.
The things that he is being accused of are outside of his character.
We spoke with Clark's mother after the hearing.
Holidays ain't been the same, none of that, but I'm just being strong. I gotta keep pushing.
It took investigators more than 2 weeks to find Ross and bring him back into custody. They ultimately arrested him in Delaware, where his attorney says he is from. We also learned today in court that Ross has a juvenile criminal record in Delaware, and he was actually on probation there at the time of these murders. He is due back here in court in June. Deborah.
A lot of new information revealed today. Sarah Kruger live for us in Orange County. Thank you, Sarah.
Now, I don't believe that part, you guys. And like I said, it's just my opinion. But possibly Issiah did tell his friend that to make it seem good for him. You know, he probably said, oh, yeah, Devin had a gun. He was beaming at me and I was trying to get it and it went off and Lyric was accidentally shot. No, that doesn't make sense to me. He probably said that, like I said, to make himself look better. But I believe that he probably took that gun. I believe he stole the gun from Devin's father's house, probably to sell it or just keep it. And like in the course of them hanging out, everything went left and he took out the gun and used it. And that's just my opinion.
Sheriff's Office is searching for the person who vandalized a memorial to 2 teenagers who were found murdered last year.
The memorial honoring Devin Clark and Lyric Woods is located in Mebane. Someone who showed up there around 4 o'clock this afternoon found it like this, vandalized. It was damaged with white spray paint, and a mailbox meant to hold letters written to the teens was knocked over.
This is close to the anniversary of their deaths, and it disturbs us greatly. I've just had a word with the family and tried my best to console them. This is completely unnecessary and senseless. It's sickening.
The Sheriff's Department now offering a $3,500 reward for any information leading to the arrest of those responsible.
Oh, that took a very sick and twisted individual to do something like that. And to wait to do it a couple of days before the very first anniversary, that's just evil. I'm going to pray for you. But on a brighter note,
Governor Roy Cooper signed a new bill into law named after teenagers found dead in Orange County last year. One of them was from the Piedmont Triad. The Lyric and Devin's law allows a court to order law enforcement agencies to release public information about a juvenile suspect to the public, but only if the suspect allegedly committed a crime that can have them tried as an adult and they're considered a threat to the public. In September of last year, 18-year-old Devin Clark from Alamance County and 14-year-old Lyric Woods from Orange County were both reported missing and later found shot to death. Law enforcement couldn't share information about the 17-year-old suspect, Issiah Ross. They looked for him for weeks but could not release his picture or name because of his age. This new law allows investigators to release that information in certain situations like this.
And in my opinion, I couldn't agree with that anymore, because I feel like this: if you're old enough to be out there committing crimes, then you old enough to face the consequences and serve the time. And that's just what it is. If you've made it to the end of my video, I want to thank each and every last one of you. I'm curious to know what your thoughts and opinions are on this subject. As I said before, I will continue to follow the story because I just want to keep it relevant, because Lyric and Devin, they deserve justice. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are concerning this subject. Please remember, everyone is entitled to their own thoughts and opinions. Just keep it respectable and cute, or you will get the boot. Until next time.